You make a fist out of your hand like that. Yeah, like that, and bump it against mine. Yeah, that's good.
What's up, everybody? Greg and Ryan here for another breakdown of Castle Rock. This is the 4th episode, The Box.
Now, there are spoilers ahead. You have been warned.
Yes. But first, make sure to hit that subscribe button where we got you covered for comic deep dives, TV breakdowns, and movie reviews. Let's get started with our initial thoughts in this episode right off the top. You get this town peeling back more layers and more layers of the evil that's underneath it. And, well, the characters on the chessboard are moving a little bit, and they think they're leaving. They think the story's over, everything's resolved, and no, this is the 4th episode, so everyone's coming back in now.
Right, it almost ended right there.
Yeah.
Almost walked out.
They're like tipping their hat. They're like, all right, this has been fun, everyone. Town's a little creepy, you know, they got this kid locked up. Yeah, but you know, we're just gonna settle and call it a day and go home.
Sit the fuck.
I like that too. It kind of felt like the sense of darkness to the town was bolstered in this episode, like especially just with the closer characters, like, you know, Ruth Deaver and Alan Pangborn in particular. Like, you know, like the coldness of the relationship with Henry is just like stark and bleak at this point. Sure. Like in all the episodes leading up to it, it's sort of like everybody's kind of putting on a little bit of a show of civility, and then it just completely decays in this episode to the point where they clearly don't like each other.
And we find out why they hate Deaver so much. Even his mom, to a point, you can tell that they all blame him for his father's death. Right,
like it's official now.
Yes,
right.
They confirm it that at least Matthew told Alan that Henry did it.
Right, so as much as there was like sort of a mystery for us, the viewers, leading up to this episode, now it's kind of a like done deal in terms of what everybody thinks, where that sort of comes from. Obviously, we know from the flashbacks that there's more to that story. Yeah. The person closest to the investigation
all at him.
Told him that he did it and told him that he covered it up. Like that's, you know, mostly conclusive at that point. Now,
he's a lawyer, he knows, I gotta get the fuck out of this town.
The thing I liked about that too, though, what I liked about this episode in general was that it felt like it was wrapping up a chapter. Like, we know that it can't end here, it's not gonna end here, but what's cool is that it feels like, to me, like this is a beat in the story. Like we wrap up the Zalewski storyline basically, and the sort of the more court trial case focused way that we got into this story that like brought him to the town, like all that kind of stuff feels like we don't need that anymore. Like we have like a plot reset. Like episode 5 is basically a blank slate in my mind. Like we're moving on. Before we jump into references that we found in this episode, there's a few just plot points I think that are worth addressing.
Yeah, we're gonna hit these up.
First off, you have Reeves, the assistant to the warden, who goes into the kid's cell, waxes nostalgic about torturing Iraqi soldiers during the war while working for the prison's parent company. So he's a mercenary. And then, you know, obviously they're to intimidate the kid, and the kid ain't having it.
He's clothed with a robe dipped in blood, and his name is called the Word of God.
Back up. Hey, I said back the fuck up.
Hey, Lieutenant! Lieutenant!
Again, more Bible verses. We got another one here.
Right, so that's Revelation, and that sort of begins to tie us back to
Henry's father,
Matthew Deaver's ghost, or whatever it is that Molly Strand saw in her home.
Yeah, this looks obviously like something's going on with Matthew Deaver, and he had something to do with this kid.
I mean, obviously these things are connected, but we're, you know, getting just the little pieces of it as
we're not making a little dartboard yet, but it's, you know where we're going.
Oh, shit, buddy, I gotta dig a little deeper. There's no Pepe Silvia, you gotta be kidding me. I got boxes full of Pepe.
And then Henry tries and fails to get his mom outside of Castle Rock. He's gonna try to pull her out of there and bring her back home with him. Yeah, no, that's not gonna happen.
And you know, Alan and Henry ended on kind of a sour note in this episode, but I did kind of find it heartwarming how in the middle of the episode he does try to convince Ruth to move to Texas. Like, he puts it out there without explaining the plan. He's like, you know...
He doesn't give the context, but he just wants to see how she feels about it, and I thought that was sweet.
Yeah.
Maybe you'd like to be closer to your boy.
This tells me that he has good intentions, at least on the outside looking in. We really see here that he's really trying to do the best he can with this situation. I don't know what he's gonna do yet with the kid, but as of right now, hey, looking good. All right, Alan Pangborn, we see you.
Well, I mean, besides having an affair.
No, that's just... And one more thing on Henry, he digs up his father's grave, the box, and brings it back into the town. And Ruth is not too thrilled about that.
Yeah, and so this whole plot was kept from her, but when that coffin comes back, she notices.
I mean, the second she lays eyes on that box, it's a huge, oh no. Don't touch me. No. And then Henry has a few flashbacks, or we, the audience, get these flashbacks. We only get a few things here. They're very quick. He's locked up. We got a toy car, and someone's feeding him or something, and that's about it for now.
Right.
But what we do know is that he is starting to remember what happened. Slowly, of course, because, you know, this is a television show and that's the main mystery.
Slowly.
So they're gonna give it to us as slow as possible.
So slowly. We can hope, you know, maybe by episode...
Maybe we'll get one more
8
flash
or
in
something.
episode 8, yeah. Also in that very same scene, Molly was seconds away from telling Henry about, one, her powers and his father, and the fact that she may have killed him, or it could have been you, dude, in my mind. But either way, she doesn't get a chance to tell him because Zalewski shows up.
Yeah, there is something I think I should tell you.
Hey. There you are.
Right, so Zalewski shows him the drawing of the cage that's been destroyed or whatever, hoping it works for the case. A lot of this episode is about Zalewski's sort of fall.
Yes.
Like, he's slowly, or not so slowly, losing it. Like, the despair is mounting. Like, he goes to work, he sees guards beating prisoners and other guards and prisoners watching. He's, like, everywhere he looks is just violence and darkness. And he's telling Deaver in that scene, there is so much more going on at this prison than just this kid. Like, help. Like, we need to do something about this. And Deaver's just eyes on the prize, work the case.
And get
you know, don't talk to me. Like, not seeing it, not feeling it, not really caring. And that culminates in Zalewski shooting everybody in the prison. A lot of characters too, like the other guard who took the bribes along with him. The last person he shoots in the sequence. Reeves is shot in one of the cells, or I'm pretty sure that's Reeves.
After this scene, Henry's gonna feel like this is his fucking fault.
No.
He should have listened to the kid.
It was.
Yeah.
I mean, in that sort of...
He was thinking of himself.
One thing triggers another Stephen King-y kind of way. You know, he left the message, and the message triggered the kid, or Zalewski.
It's so sad when you think of it. Zalewski just wanted to get out. He calls him for help. He gets there, and it only makes things worse, of course. And now he's gonna have to deal with the fallout.
Now, another thing I'm sure everybody noticed, but the shooting itself is what Zalewski saw on the screens when he had the hallucination in episodes 1/2.
The exact same frames. So what we thought was earlier just all in his head, a hallucination, no, he's showing him his own future. And that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, add that to the list of the kid's powers, I guess. He can help people to see their future, in addition to causing cancer. And that is, to be fair, assuming it's the kid.
Assuming it's the kid, I think I have an idea of who this kid is. I got a running theory. I have nowhere to go with it other than I'm pretty sure this kid has something to do with Leland Gaunt. I'm getting that vibe. After what happened with Zalewski and the fact that they touched. And I just feel like this kid's got some bad vibes coming from Leland Gaunt somehow. He's some kind of creation. I don't know if he's his bastard child or anything like that. I call me crazy, but no Randall Flagg, nothing like that. I feel like this is Leland Gaunt's work somehow, some way. The second he touched hands with him in that big boom, I was like, oh shit, everything's, Zalewski's gone. You should know immediately from that scene, Zalewski's probably not gonna make it through this next episode, and he did not.
I'm a little on the side of that was just some ominous sound work when they did the fist bump.
Oh, of course, yes.
And nothing really happened there. I'm on the side of
he cursed.
He just
Zalewski.
lost it.
I think this has more to do. The shooting was the work of the kid. Zalewski had no control over most of it, and this is some kind of Leland Gaunt stuff with this kid. He's just spreading bad shit to the town. So if he gets out, everyone's gonna go crazy.
I like that. I can get behind that.
There you go.
Yeah, that's good.
Just say the word. I'm afraid I have a tendency to turn up the heat.
Okay, let's jump into a few things we noticed in this episode, some references and Easter eggs. Let's start with Henry's trip to the county clerk's office.
Oh man,
another
the
newspaper, yes, another chance for us to stop and look at a few newspaper clippings. So here we go. First, we find out that Dale Lacey took over as the new warden for Shawshank in January 1985.
Well, what's worth noting there is that it's like 6 years to the day, almost to the day, before he puts the kid in the cage.
We should probably match up these dates with the little calendars he had of the same line over and over again. I wonder if that's gonna...
Oh boy, I don't want to do that.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it next week. I'll have that ready. We get a quick slide of Warden praises work project. We don't know exactly what this work project is just yet.
There's an article for the Christmas fire at Shawshank Prison from December 26, 1987. This was the Christmas fire. Now, the fine print here is slightly interesting. It mentions a memorial ceremony held by Matthew Deaver. The fire was intentional, and an unidentified suspect was in custody, and perhaps most interesting, that Alan Pangborn was first on the scene. Now, it's a bit far-fetched, but it's possible that Alan started the fire. After looking at some articles about Warden Lacey, Deaver moves on to articles about his own disappearance. One article heads, "Deaver Boy Still Missing." Now this page is interesting because the show mainly focuses on the reprint of Henry's missing child flyer. However, there are two articles here as well. The first article describes the search for Deaver, which includes expensive aircraft, Alan Pangborn, and most intriguingly, Warden Lacey's prison work program mentioned earlier in the microfilm. There is also an article with the header, "Mary Kate Henderson, Latest Victim in String of Murders." The article itself is copy-pasted from Warden Lacey's article clippings about Leland Gaunt from episode 2. The style of the article actually implies that it may be the same edition of the newspaper that the warden had, but since the text is copy-pasted, these connections should simply be taken with a grain of salt. In fact, a few of the side articles in this sequence were copy-pasted in different places. However, if this specific instance is to be taken seriously, then this aligns the events of Needful Things, when the shopkeeper Leland Gaunt brought the town of Castle Rock to its knees in a murderous frenzy, with Henry's disappearance and the caging of the kid in this series. Okay, so I had my own rabbit hole that I went down here. There's throughout that sequence, as he's looking at the articles, there are also some advertisements interspersed between the articles. There is Haywood Hospital and John's Sport Shop, which are both in Gardner, Massachusetts. Also pictured is Town Line Motors, which is located west of Gardner in Orange, Massachusetts, which is the town where downtown Castle Rock was filmed for the series. Upon digging deeper into this, we found a page with several photos from Orange during the filming that were taken by people in the town. Among other references, there is LaChance Books. Now, Gordy LaChance is one of the kids slash the storyteller in The Body or Stand By Me, played by Will Wheaton. Maybe also worth noting is that the man and woman who are buying the house from Molly Strand, the man is named Gordon. Now, he says they're coming from Des Moines, but he does not say that they're not familiar with Castle Rock. So maybe they're moving into town and he's going to open up a bookstore. Maybe.
Would they consider including the art? That's Castle Lake.
isn't it?
Speaking of that house, we get some balloons, and there is one color missing from that set of balloons. Can you guess which color it is? I thought that was cute, by the way. I thought it was a little fun little nod.
That was just so on purpose.
They did. They spent so much time on that shot. They knew what you were waiting for.
Yeah.
It's awesome. And then next up, Henry visits Joseph Desjardins, who we find out, obviously, is the brother to Vince Desjardins, who's apparently locked up in prison for insurance fraud of trying to cut off a few of his
Cut off his own fingers. And the police took those fingers.
Yep.
So Vince Desjardins is the bully in Stand By Me that is like sort of second bully to the Ace Merrill character.
Yes. And then one last Desjardins. We don't know how this person's related to the brothers, but we also have Rita Desjardins, who we know her specifically from Carrie. She's her PE teacher and famously played by a few different actresses, including Judy Greer. Now, what I loved about that scene is how it just shows, again, how creepy and just pulls back those layers of this town. The house itself, the piano, just going through it was beautiful. The beautiful decay, yet at that same time, you're wondering, this town is a little weird. The fact is that this grown man has a 1991 police report under his bed of a missing child. Come on.
That's a little creepy.
That's just a little creepy.
It definitely seems like he's hiding something, but I'm not 100%.
He's not the guy. He's not the one that kidnapped him. Yeah. I don't think that's the case.
I wouldn't even be surprised if he's not hiding something. Like he's such an obvious
that line
sort of
I never
foil
touched
for
you.
being a bad guy. You're right, exactly. The line and the way it's delivered, it's like it just seems like this is supposed to supposed to lead us astray, you know? Like this is I think he's on the level, he's just nuts.
I'm holding on to the idea that Matthew Deaver is at the top of this pyramid, and there are characters coming down now that are starting to get in place.
I can see that too.
And I think Joseph's on that list. If we're talking like in a True Detectives kind of vibe,
right?
Or if you're starting to look into the underbelly of this city.
Everybody's guilty.
Everyone's guilty in a way, yeah. And then Joseph talks about the Nevada bomb test. All I can think of right then and there, of course, is episode 8 of Twin Peaks, The Reach.
The last reference that I also thought was pretty cool was at the end when Zalewski's going on his killing spree, Roy Orbison comes in, and of course, that song is famously sung by Rebecca Del Rio in Mulholland. Last up, we just want to get to some of your comments from the last video we did. Ross Watson from the YouTube comments asks, why the hell did the warden tell him to say Deavers? You know, that's a damn good question. Like, I know that this is gonna all tie together at some point, but it is the most bizarrely unquestioned things so far, where it's like, nobody's really asking that question, which should be kind of question number one from within the prison and on the Deaver side of things. Like, even his like parents or Alan Pangborn or Molly would be like, how did you get on this case again?
Why that name?
The kid said my name.
Why that name? He could have been like, smoke that cigarette and be like, you're gonna ask for Fats Domino, you understand? Fats Domino. Chubby Checkers.
Timothy Mills says, I wonder if Henry's real name will come into play since he's adopted. I think that's actually a really good point because it's very intentional that he's adopted. Mm-hmm. It's not just sort of character backstory. It seems like that has something to do with the plot.
But they never talk about the parents at all though yet. So I'm curious if that's something they're gonna name drop in the final episode or whatever his final episode is. I feel like that may come into play, but right now they seem to be going full steam ahead on his just kidnapping or whatever his dad's death, kidnapping, and this child stuck in this cage. That's it.
Maybe he was already kidnapped once. Last one, actually, there were several comments about this last week, but Lurged says, that was not Ruth Deaver who said, does the tape get erased? It was from episode 1, Henry's death row client. She's talking to him while she's eating her last meal. She's talking about dying in the afterlife.
I mean, wherever you go next, does the tape get erased? And if it does, you're not really you anymore, are you?
Look, I got thrown off by the captions on Hulu, which have been wrong more than once.
Oh, it's Hulu's fault. Okay, okay.
You lose! Good day, sir!
All right, that's it for us over here. Let us know if you have any questions or noticed anything in the episode in the comments section down below. And until next time, keep it here to GameSpot Universe. Bye-bye.
Later.